So we've got a great trainer. Alex is just brilliant, as I say. He knows everything there is about social media. He's trained me before. He's trained women in the law before. I think he may have trained Trish as well, who's a bit more experienced than the rest of us. So that's all good. So Alex, over to you.
But my company's called Altrincham HQ. As the name suggests, we're based in Altrincham, South Manchester, for those that are a bit further afield. And we literally deliver social media training via Zoom on all the platforms you can see on the screen. And we also do social media management for companies without the for people without the time, the inclination, or I believe it's a professional. So that's the only sales pitch I'm going to give today. That's exactly what I do. My background, a bit of all the braggadocious stuff on the screen. We've been voted the best social media company in Manchester. I've got 428 testimonials on LinkedIn for our training, and I spend my life connected to the phones, the Zoom, to the internet and everything. So that's pretty much my background. What we're going to cover today is we're going to cover the acceptance of this new world. And obviously Sally's been doing some great seminars, and we've kind of getting used to it 4 or 5 weeks in now, that this is the way we've got to do business, that we're literally doing what does feel very tiring, actually, doing Zoom. But this is a new world we're living in. And we're looking at the post-handshake world and the old excuses. Then I'm going to give you a 7-step guide to social media in lockdown, because I think with the minimum we're going to be in lockdown till is about the middle of June, I would say. And it's still not going to be normal to maybe the end of the year. So this is what we're kind of living in now, the sort of post-handshake world and the sort of post-hug world, where we can't shake people's hands physically. We can't go to a networking event and wrap our arms around someone and give someone a hug. So we've kind of got to do virtual handshakes and virtual hugs. And that's kind of why I've been brought in. I'm still working at the moment for my company called Altrincham HQ. Naturally, like everyone, the first week kind of the work fell off a cliff, and then everyone realized they had to do something. So I think I've done 3 training sessions so far this week. Little GDPR warning, which we always got to give for legals. At the end of it, I always like to do a cheesy screen grab at the end where we all wave, put our thumbs up, put peace signs and that kind of stuff at the end. So I'll just let you know well in advance. In about half an hour's time, I'll say, let's do a cheesy photo. So do let us know if you've got any objections to that, but normally people don't. So we're going to get into it. So understanding the difference. There is a total danger right now in letting untrained staff near your social media. And there's a massive benefit to giving trained staff ownership of social media. There is a massive difference. At the moment, it really is a time to be active on social and to be communicating with people. But if you don't understand the difference between what's right and wrong on social, then you're going to have some messy mistakes. There was a business that I saw recently, I think it was this weekend, and they did a post which normally, within context, would have been absolutely fine. It was Altrincham Market, and they did a post where they've got a sign on their market, and it said, "Death to the supermarkets." And normally that sign would have been absolutely okay 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 6 months ago, because it's all about supporting independence. But in the context of supermarket workers being so vital at the moment, it kind of totally hit the wrong tone of voice, and they received a lot of criticism for it. So that's kind of like the danger when the staff haven't been trained and don't know the etiquettes of it. If it isn't your goal in lockdown to improve your social media marketing, then you won't improve your social media marketing. Intentions create actions and drive. And that's what Sally mentioned before about positive mindset creates sort of positive actions. And I did a training session yesterday where it was a sort of tech company, and he said that in the future, one of the questions in job interviews in the future will be, well, what did you do during lockdown? And people are going to judge you on your actions. So whether you chose to attend seminars like this and learn, or whether you choose to spend 3 months sunbathing, which I'm spending a bit of time doing, but yeah, people are going to judge you on what you're doing in these times. And the big takeaway, if you take one thing away from this, it is that producing your own content is a winning move. People are following you on social media, whether that be LinkedIn, whether that be Twitter, whether you've got an Instagram profile, people are following you for your opinions and your ideas and your expertise. They're not necessarily following you to be almost a compendium of sharing other people's articles and other people's links. They're following you for your expertise and your advice. So produce your own content is a winning move. And your social media post, regardless of platforms, must tick one of these boxes. It must be either shareable, it must be clickable, must be helpful, or inspiring enough to comment. And if you look at all the main platforms, who does it well? It might not necessarily be quality, but a platform like BuzzFeed intuitively understands its audience and understands what's going to make people click the share button. How can you provide as much value to your audience as possible? And for those that have heard me speak before, and I don't think there has been any apart from Sally, if you've heard me say some of these things before in other presentations, it's because it's 2020 and you're kind of not taking action on the things that I said way back in 10 years ago in 2010. So obviously, if I repeat things, it's because they're important. So acceptance is the first thing we've all got to kind of realize. The world has changed. The way we do business has changed, and that moaning and bitching is kind of not the answer. And that's a really important thing. Like, people who are just going to sit for 3 months saying, I can't work, I can't do business, I can't do that, aren't going to thrive after this. So Grant Cardone, in a seminar I listened to a couple of weeks ago, said, after all of this, we're either going to be better off or worse off, but you're definitely not going to be the same as before. You're not going to step in the middle of June and be exactly the same position as you were before. Your actions over the next 3 months are going to dictate whether you're going slightly better or slightly worse afterwards. And all the ideas that you've held dear in the past have gone. So we're going to look at some of those ideas. Some of the things that people have said to me over the last 10 years of running Ultimate HQ, the social media business, people have said, I don't do social media. I just do business face to face. And look how Sally's adapted. Look how Trisha's adapted as well. Like how we've all gone online and all these things we could have been doing for years beforehand. And suddenly we managed to change all these things within a week. People have said that social media isn't important, but it's more important than it's ever been before, because that's the only way that we're keeping in touch with people. And interestingly, people always used to say things like, I don't want to see pictures of people's breakfast. But you know what? It's the small, joyous things that I've actually been enjoying seeing. Pictures of people's gardens, pictures of trees and flowers, pictures of your high street, even pictures of people having a beer or pictures of their dinner. I've enjoyed all those basic things. And people have always said, people won't care about what I post online. And I'm looking at social media sort of seen as a sexy subject that people want to hear. But do you know what I've been really listening to? I've been listening to accountants and lawyers and HR specialists more than ever, because their expertise is really, really, really important. So people will care about what you say, regardless of what sector you're in. And obviously, most of the people on this call are in the law. So people will care about your opinions. So now I'm going to go into this sort of step-by-step guide to social media in 2020 or social media in lockdown. So the first thing is you've got to kind of define who is important to you. This isn't a time for wasting our time. This is a time for making the most of our time and thinking of those people that we spend most of our time. You've probably heard the cliche or the quote, which is true. You become the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. But think about who's most important to you. Obviously, your existing clients are really important to you, and keeping in touch with those people. The people that you care about are your suppliers. They might be your printers, your graphic designers, your website company. Sally, who leads networking groups, and Trish, who leads networking groups, your network. The influencers, like Martin Lewis from Money, I think it's the Money Supermarket, isn't it? He's become really, really a vital person that you listen to. potential clients, what's called your power team, those 5 people around you that you care about. So think about who's important to you and make sure you're keeping in touch with those on a regular basis. Because I can think about my networking group, and I can think of people who haven't done, it's a bit of a cliche, but touch base with you once during this whole lockdown. So in 5 weeks, they've not said hello to me once, I've just said, how's things going? And I remember that. And I remember the people that keep in touch with me. So think who's important to you, first of all. And then define what you can offer to people right now and in the future as well. That's really, really important. One thing that I really thought about deeply when lockdown happened was I will not make rash decisions that will only serve the purpose for the next 3 months. I will make decisions which can impact me after these 3 months, 6 months or so on. So that literally, it took me a while to announce my group social media workshops, which I'm doing next week, because I wanted to get the format right before they were announced. I didn't want to do something that's only going to say last for 3 months. So think about what you can start doing. Think about what you've been doing in the past that doesn't serve you anymore. And that's not just social, it's everything you're doing. Think about what you can do more of and think about what you can do less of. And in social context, that might be like, you've got your LinkedIn profile, but you simply don't post enough. It can be something as simple as that, and you take actions based on that. It might be a total new service offering that is going to serve you for the next 3, 4, 10 years' time. Things that were in previously were assets might now be liabilities. So I've been, again, thinking about this. As the name suggests, my company's called Altrincham HQ, which kind of suggests I'm a local business. My local business is now a global business because of Zoom. And that is kind of like the things that were powerful for me. I'm a local business that helps local people. Now I'm a local business that can help international people. But what's really important is all those things. Testimonials, reviews, all those things. Your network and people saying good things about you. Sucking up, as it was said at the beginning of the presentation, that's useful. But yeah, the fact that I've got testimonials, so look at your reviews and your testimonials and try and get as many as possible, because people have actually got time to leave them at this time. And then what I want you to think about is opening up the communication channels. As I said, this post-handshake world or this online handshake, think of all the areas online, because we're talking, I've been brought in as the social media expert, but social media is a big, massive field. So all the places you can communicate with are all these areas on screen. You've got your LinkedIn feed, but you've also got the behind the scenes in terms of your LinkedIn message. You've got your Twitter feed, and you've also got your Twitter lists, which offer your VIPs. Twitter lists for me are the most important thing during lockdown at the moment, because it's not algorithmically led. It means I can see the updates from the people I really, really, really want to see. Instagram has many places you can engage on, whether it be the Instagram feed, hashtags and stories. And obviously you've got your Facebook pages feed as well. So think about what's most important to you out of those communication channels. Think about where you should be spending this important time, and open up those and actually talk to people. So for instance, on mine, Twitter, my Twitter feed has gone up by the amount of tweets I'm sending has gone up by about 50% extra, just because I feel it's important to keep in touch with people. Then what you need to do is really, really, really focus on value-added content. So if you've got a service, what you actually do within the law is helping people right now, it is 100% okay to sell. So we've worked with numerous law firms, and obviously at the moment, there was that consideration at the start of lockdown where people were considering sort of, is it okay to sell wills at the moment? That was the main, does it seem insensitive? Does it seem like we're preying on people? And kind of like the feeling after about a week was actually, you know what, it's really giving people peace of mind. So actually it's okay to find a way to offer that help and offer that value, because it is helping people. So if you consider it's okay to sell what you do, things like family law as well and stuff like that. It's then important to educate people. And that's education in terms of however you feel you can give value to people. That might be a video seminar like this. It might be the fact that I sat down in that first week of lockdown and wrote and published over 2,500 words of blogs. It might be the fact that you can actually record videos on Zoom and have a nice background like I've got on the screen now. And it's things like that. It's important to educate, and it's important to do that regularly as well. So what you've got to do is, again, play to your strengths. The British are really, really good at saying, I can't do this, whereas the Americans are really good at saying, yes, you can. And I think that there's so many different channels you've got in terms of not just social channels, but in terms of think about what you're good at. If you're a great orator, if you're a great presenter, you could quite easily record videos and put them up on YouTube or put them up on your LinkedIn profile. If you don't feel as confident on camera, there are other ways to present your expertise. You can do the written blog. So the reason I love writing is not just because I used to be a journalist for about 8-9 years. Is because I used to be massively overweight back in 1999. And I used to weigh like nearly 20 stone. So I wasn't going to feel comfortable putting myself on camera when you weigh 20 stone. So written word I played to my strengths back in those days. And again, an infographic, graphic design is another way. Sally's got a podcast. That's another way you can communicate your expertise. So just play to your strengths, because there's no excuse for not providing content. There's some skill set that you've got that you can leverage. There's a book I read called The Unfair Advantage, and it's basically about playing to your strengths. So focus on value-added content. Producing content will always bring you more rewards than just sharing other people's content. And then you need to choose the channels of distribution. So those are the stats on screen for the amount of users for each of the individual channels in 2020. I think it was up to date as of about January this year. What I'm saying now is it isn't the one with the largest numbers. It is still the one that's most relevant to you. So you look right at the bottom and you can sort of see LinkedIn at the bottom in terms of active users. It's a lot more than that. It is actually about, I think it's 640 was the recent stat in terms of actual users. But again, think about what is most relevant for your business. I'm sure for those women in the law that have got children, there's the fun side of social, which is probably having fun with your children and doing TikTok videos. And then there's the side that you use for business, which might be LinkedIn or Twitter. And it's choosing, yeah, you can do the fun side of social, but choosing the two most relevant ones for your career, for your business, for you helping people. And then what you really need to do, and this is applicable for every subject, not just social media. I really explored this deeply in terms of, in a blog that we published recently. There's a third one on this. It's deep learning versus shallow learning, first of all. And what I mean by that is if social media is important to you or if something else is important to you, it's not a time for dabbling right now. It's not a time for reading the odd article here and there and thinking, okay, if I get to the end of lockdown and I've read 10 articles on social media, or I've read 10 articles on something else, that's going to be enough to make us survive. It's really, you've got to go deep in the trenches and you've kind of got to obsess about social media. You've got to really study it. You've kind of got to go out there and get training from an expert. And if you've had training in the past, refresh your training because there's really no excuse at the moment. And the sort of the difference I always sort of describe this is that at the moment, I'm doing that whole thing about learning a language at the moment. So I'm going on Duolingo. And I'm a massive fan of loads of Welsh fans, so I'm trying to learn Welsh at the moment. But I'm not going to become a proficient Welsh speaker by spending 15 minutes a day on Duolingo. That's going to take time. That's going to take like hours a day to do that. So that's the difference between like shallow learning on Duolingo and deep learning by literally, as I said, going deep into the trenches. And the next level above that is it's deeper understanding. And that goes down to like the 10,000 hours of practice. Like the deep understanding, I've got deep understanding of social, you've got deep understanding of the law. And there's a difference between just going on a half-day workshop and really truly understanding everything on it. And the last point of the 7 points, and then we'll go into Q&As, is measure, change, and adapt quickly. In the old days, you might have looked at your metrics on a lot longer time period. But I think really being geeky with your analytics, whether those be your LinkedIn KPIs, which are people who viewed your profile, people who viewed your post, it might be Twitter analytics, Google analytics if you've got a website, Instagram insights, Facebook insights. Those give you all the information that you need. You've got to read it then and adapt on it. It's not just a process where you look at it, go, that's nice, that's bad, and then do nothing different. We spent a whole half day with United Utilities this week, spending 3.5 hours looking at analytics. And that is literally as in-depth as you can go into it. I'm not saying you need to spend 3.5 hours looking at your analytics, but literally taking them probably more serious than you maybe have in the past. So that's kind of the 7 points. And just to sort of, before we get to Q&As, what you've really got to do now is kind of move with the times and be relevant. So look at your high street now, and what we've seen over the past few years of boarded up high street shops because they've not moved with the times. And then you've got Amazon, which have increased their profit margins massively, maybe not ethically at times, but they've increased their profit margins massively since lockdown, but they've always been doing it because they've adapted and changed with the times. And again, another example where ITV's still throwing out rubbish like The Masked Singer, whereas everyone is drilling down on Netflix. That's kind of like the difference in like moving with the times.
Firstly, can we do a virtual clap?
I just screen grab that one. That's a great one.
Which is really good. So it's wonderful to see you all. If you want to come to more of our stuff, go on the website and book. We've got great stuff next week. Tricia Peters is going to speak about on Tuesday how to become a magistrate, even as a solicitor. Did you know that? So please look up. It's great to see you. If you've enjoyed our webinars, seminars, go on social media and talk about it, as Alex is about to do so. I don't know if there's anything else. My podcast is out this week. It's Judge Rinder. There's loads of great people on there. It's a really good interview. It's a bit long, but it's quite a fun one. And as Caroline will attest to, even if you're not in the law, you'll enjoy it. So great. And the next one is a secret barrister. So it'll be really great for people to stay connected to us and stay in touch.